welcome to Sounds Heavenly. If you've seen the channel recently, you'll be aware that I bought the cheapest Beogram turntable available in the UK, the princely sum of £45 on eBay, and with help from the Beo Friends group of Dutch B&O enthusiasts, I got it working. So all well and good. But since then, Bang & Olufsen have actually re-released this Beogram 2000 model under their Reloved programme, where they refurbish it in the factory where it was made and give it a new lease of life. Cost £2,400. So I wondered, just how close can we get to that, and what will it actually end up costing us? This is the video where we find out whether my wife actually watches what I publish, because I think if she does, my days are numbered. Anyway, come and join me. If you're new to the channel, I'm Steve from Sounds Heavenly Cables. My day job's making the cables that connect B&O products, including the ones that B&O themselves use on their flagship Beogram 4000C turntables. But here, this is not about cables. This is about what can we do with a late 1980s Beogram turntable, and how close can we get to the Reloved finish that B&O themselves are offering. Now, I'll give you a caveat at this point. I am not a repairer, so please don't ask in the comments, how do I repair my record player? I can't tell you. What I'll tell you is go to these guys, Multicare. They are B&O's approved classic service partner, and they are the people to go to for any advice on repairs. So with that covered, let's give you a little update. The background was, I bought this sight unseen with no cartridge on eBay, collected it and found it didn't work. I was off to see the Beo Friends group of B&O fans in Utrecht, so I had to talk to them. They had a very similar model of Beogram with the same fault, and with their help I got this working. So all that's documented on my previous videos, which you're welcome to watch. Since then, B&O are offering for £2,400 a fully factory refurbished Beogram 2000 with a couple of additions. They include a Soundsmith SMMC4 cartridge, which is completely rebuilt from scratch by Soundsmith in the USA. So I went and bought one as an exact match, and I'll put prices up on screen as we go. I got a replacement rubber belt from eBay, and the next thing I did, as well as getting this working, was to fit the same model of RIAA preamplifier to this Beogram that B&O fit into their Reloved models, and that comes from Soren Claudius at Claudius Electronic in Denmark. Again, prices up on screen, and I'm actually not going to show you the fitting process. There are two reasons for that. One is you don't want to hear me cursing. It's a really tricky job. The other one is, if you've joined beoworld.org as a gold member and you've got access to the service manuals and you've got access to the notes and guidance from Soren Claudius when you buy his preamp, then with those two sets of information together, you can install this if you've got the experience and background to do it. I'll give you a little bit for background on that preamp. It's a very small single circuit board. It has a set of fly leads attached, and it replaces the mute relay circuit, which sits just next to the back of the tone arm in the back right corner underneath the top plate. So basically you undo the two screws from underneath, remove the top plate. I suggest you take the cartridge off of the tone arm first. You remove the little switch that works the play stop button, and you disconnect the connector that works the top panel buttons. Once the top panel is out of the way and the platter is out of the way, you've got access to the insides. You can then unclip the mute relay board, and the new wires are coloured to match those on the mute relay board. One thing I will say is that the 5 wires coming down from the tone arm are probably not much thicker than a human hair, There is nothing to identify them one from the other, so I suggest use extreme caution when you're replacing these. I actually used a circuit board clamp to hold the two boards, the new one and the old one, side by side, and transferred the wires one at a time, and then tested them to the pins at the end of the tone arm with a multimeter. It's a very, very frustrating process because those wires have a life of their own once they're desoldered from the board, and they go exactly where they want to go. Probably very easy to do under a microscope in the factory when assembling a turntable, but working on it here on the bench with everything assembled, not so easy. By the way, you might be wondering why we're over here at the workbench and not at the place where I usually film. Well, let me just show you. So I am now relegated to the workbench. A couple of notes that might be useful for you. The version of preamp I had does require a small cut to be made in the plastic mounting bracket on the turntable, which I'll put up on screen, and Soren provides instructions as to how to do that. A screw is then provided to fit that down to the screw hole that's already fitted in the plate of the turntable. The red wire, which gives power to the module, actually needs to be about 20 centimetres longer than it's provided in the version I got. My suggestion is you actually run that along around the three sides of the platter so that it follows and wraps in with the existing wiring loom, and then when it reaches the circuit board down at the front right of the Beogram where it connects, it doesn't foul any of the mechanisms when the turntable is working. We've got a new belt, everything's already lubricated, adjusted, and we've got our Soundsmith SMMC4 cartridge to go in, the same as is used by B&O in their Reloved models. This is where we need some care because certainly in this pre-owned example, the cartridge is of a higher value than the turntable itself. And it's certainly one of the most fragile parts of the whole assembly. So this doesn't have a stylus guard like the old B&O models. Other than that, it is functionally identical and it's a perfect fit onto the tone arm. Now, one thing I will say when we look at the costings for this project, on the face of it, this appears to be far cheaper than the B&O solution of the Reloved program. However, I've probably put 20 hours into this, I would guess. My time, you could say, is free, but actually now I could be doing better things. And also, there's the not inconsiderable cost of going over to Utrecht to meet the Beer friends and to learn about the repair process for this turntable, which without their expert knowledge just would have been impossible. So I think, to be honest, we're probably looking over £1,000 worth of my time, trouble and travels, and then the costs that you'll see on screen as well. There were probably 2 or 3 times during the process of building this that I thought, actually, we're now on a knife edge. We're at the point where this possibly is too far gone to be saved. And my honest opinion, if you don't want all that hassle, the Reloved turntables, and they're not cheap, but you're getting classic B&O style with brand new factory refurbishment, new parts, and the warranty that gives you the assurance that it will work. So yeah, I think now I have an appreciation of why there is a £2,400 price tag on the official refurbished version of this turntable. It's not just a case of parts alone. The time, effort, and the potential attrition rate of maybe having to take in several turntables to get one working soon adds up. I'd suggest have a look on B&O's website, click on the Reloved option. They don't sponsor me, so this is entirely my own take on this. The other thing I did, which is important to mention, is when you fit a preamp into a B&O turntable, the pin on the DIN plug, which is used for remote control signals, changes. And compatible B&O systems are wired accordingly, depending whether they should accept a preamplified turntable or non-preamplified. So you then need to change over the wiring in the DIN plug. Again, all this is covered in the B&O service manuals, which you get access to when you join as a Beoworld as a gold member. So I'm not going to explain all that here or in the comments. That's something that the information is out there. So in this case, I fitted a new metal cased DIN plug with gold pins just to improve the quality and reliability of what was done there. As I mentioned at the start, my day job's making the cables that connect these turntables. So if you've got any questions about getting the right connections and cables for your turntable, please ask. I'm happy to help with that. I ship to UK and Europe due to family limitations. I hope that this has given you an indication of just what's involved with the Reloved turntables and how much work is needed to get anywhere close to that end result when working as an enthusiast. There'll be lots more Bang & Olufsen videos coming soon on the channel, so please subscribe. You'll be the first to see them. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.